Well, good evening, folks. In light of recent events, both natural and man made, I thought it would be a very apropos time to run through my everyday carry gear setup that I take with me pretty much everywhere. Um, it's nothing spectacular, you know, but it will get you out of a jam. A lot of times for my work, I end up, it could be Landover, Maryland, Strasburg, Virginia, Edenville, Pennsylvania. End up some places that, you ain't right by the house. And a couple years ago, before everybody starts thinking, oh, this could never happen, a couple years ago, we had an ice storm out on I-95, and there was folks stranded out there for several days. In fact, I commented on one of my very first videos that I made. So this is just a quick rundown of what I've put together so far. There are a few pieces that I'm lacking that I will definitely vocalize on. And this pretty much covers the 5 C's of survival, which is cover, cordage, containment, container, cutting tool, and combustion. So first things first is you got to have a way to carry all this stuff. I went on to the great eBay and I scored myself 2 Molly butt packs. Yes, we had a few less than glorious names for them when I was in the military, but you can see these are original mil spec. These are not, something aftermarket. I got 2 of them for $9. So Molly is not my favorite gear. When I served, we had Alice gear. And needless to say that ACU camouflage was proof that even the military can take a joke on itself. But it works. I've got the waistband, if you will, stretched out to where I can carry it across my body, much like I don't even know what you call it. But I carry it, basically the big strap there on my left, across my left shoulder, and this pack on my right, my right hip, and then I have an identical one set up the same way that I can carry on my left hip if need be, but I usually only carry the one, because if I can't get where I need to be it's with one kit, then 2 probably isn't going to do me much good. But at any rate, you got to have something to carry it in. So, like I said, $9. I believe that I paid $9 a piece for them. So I paid $18 total. And obviously, just an inexpensive blanket. Well, not a big one. We call these Indian blankets. A wool blanket would be nice. If you're going to get a wool blanket, get at least 80%. You'll see them marked 80, 20, 50, 50, 100%, blah, blah, blah. 80, 20 is plenty good enough, and it'll hold its shape better. It won't get all stretched out and all wonky looking. But that's just an inexpensive blanket. I'm not even sure where we picked it up at. But as you can see, I've got some cordage wrapped around it, old pair of shoelaces, which is some good extra cordage. So there's our cover. We got something we can sleep under or get in, give us some warmth. Now, not pictured in this kit are 2 USGI ponchos. I cannot stress enough, if you are even the slightest bit creative and you have a poncho, you have shelter from the elements. You can wear it. It'll keep your gear dry. You can use it in a lean-to configuration. You can use it in a plow point. You can make a sleeping bag out of it with the poncho. One of those casualty blankets, them space blankets. They're actually called a casualty blanket, I believe. One of those and a wool blanket such as that, you can make yourself an improvised Ranger taco, and you may not sleep the greatest, but at least you're not going to freeze to death. But moving on, first aid. Again, it's not one of the 5 C's, but it's something I like to keep around. Just a very small first aid kit. We got some antiseptic towelettes. We got some gauze. We got some Band-Aids. Now we come over here. I got a little jar with aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, antacids, and my prescription meds, a couple days worth of those on top in that little green pack. Why? Because if, let's say, something was happening, I was stranded in Strasbourg, I needed to get home, I know good and well I'm looking at least 3 to 5 days hard humping to hoof it all the way home from there. I also have one of the old school olive drab military cravats. As you can see, this is straight out of the supply sergeant's office. And again, when you're dealing with one of these it's a triangular bandage if you've never seen one. And again, you can use it for a schmog. You can use it to collect rainwater to drink. You know, you can tie it around your ankle and walk through tall grass, and it'll pick up the dew that's on the grass in the early morning and at least get yourself something to drink to try to stay hydrated. But you can use it as a sling. You can use it as a tourniquet. Any number of things. You can cut off a corner. If you know how to make char cloth, that's made of muslin. You can make char cloth out of that, which is a great fire starter. Okay. So again, they were dirt cheap. I think I bought like 3 of them for next to nothing. I got 2 of them in my chainsaw kit. I have a first aid kit just for my chainsaw. Yes, I'm that talented. But no, in all seriousness, that's one of those things where in a heartbeat you can have a traumatic injury. So I keep them in there. Okay, now we come to cutting tools. As you can see, I've got just a little cheap case pocket knife, lockback. I've got my brother's Leatherman tool that he bought me one year for Christmas. Then you come over here, I've got another razor knife. This is some kind of a drywall saw. It was made by JobSmart. They sold them at Tractor Supply or Home Depot or Walmart or one of them places. But they use regular Sawzall blades. And you can see there right now I've got a 10 tooth installed on it. And I've got a 6, another 10, and then I got a hacksaw blade. And if I can't get the cutting done I need to do with that, there's something wrong. And it all fits into that nifty little case right there. Okay, that takes care of our cutting tools. Now we're going to go on to cordage. I'm a farmer. Of course I have baler twine. That's all I'm going to say about that. That is a good long hank there. You can run ridge lines. You can do any number of things with it. If you don't have cordage, it's kind of hard to put up a shelter or anything else or secure anything. So it's always a good idea to have some cordage with you. Now we're getting into the stuff that's a little bit redundant. We've got combustion. We've got fire, courtesy of the infamous Bic lighter. The pink tape is wrapped around it. 1, so you can, if you drop it, you can see it a little bit easier. And 2, duct tape makes a great flame extender. Then we come over to the infamous magnesium bar and ferro rod, which does have a ferrocerium rod built into the end of it. The knife that I carry in my pocket for my EDC is a Camillus Les Stroud, and it also has a ferrocerium rod in the handle. So we've got multiple ways of getting a fire cracked off. And we've got the Burt's Bees Pomegranate Moisturizing Lip Balm. The moisturizing lip balm, in addition to being great for first aid, also makes a great fire starter, a flame extender. You can rub that onto a cotton ball or onto a piece of that muslin there, and it'll actually burn. It'll extend your time to help you get a fire going. Like I said, I have my brother's multi-tool. Then I've got this little whiz-bang. I don't even know why I carry the thing around other than it looks cool. And little pair of binoculars there, very small pair, but functional. Always kind of nice to see what's coming up before you get there. As far as water container goes, I have my U.S. military Army issue 1-quart canteen with a carabiner that hangs right off the shoulder strap of my rig there. And I do need to work on getting some purification tablets or some way of collecting clean water, because the last thing you want to do is start drinking out of the creek and, upstream Bambi's done pooped in it. And all of a sudden you're coming down with all sorts of creeping crud nastiness. So always make sure you've got a container and a way to collect clean water. Even those like the Grail drinking straws, the purification straws, they work. They work. I mean, just something simple like that to collect water in. Otherwise, you're going to have to boil it and go through a bunch of rigmarole. And again, this is not designed to go LARPing in the outback. This is the gear you need, or that you may need, to get yourself home. Last but not least, we got us a little bit of chow there. That is actually beef jerky. It is not smokeless tobacco. See? Jerky chew. Has a lot of salt and stuff like that, which will help to keep you going. And this was a little pack of tuna and crackers that I keep in there. I'm actually getting ready to lose the snack on the run and replace it with something like a small MRE, or at least like one of my little MRE entree packets to stick in there, so that, I've got, a couple thousand calories worth of chow there to maintain my strength and be able to keep moving to get myself home. But about 3/4 of that stuff that you see there fits in that little container right there. Let me show you. Here goes our fire starter, cutting tool. Very small, almost useless multi-tool, although a little pair of pliers can come in handy. Something small like this. You just fold them back down. I mean, are they something I would want to rely on? Oh, nope. But again, this is just stuff to get you home. And there you can see I got a good jag of stuff already in there and still plenty of room. So we could actually add our fire starter or our lip balm. There's our little first aid kit snapped up. And probably to keep everything from getting banged around, I'll put my cravat in there. And it does fit. I just took it out a little while ago. I promise it fits. Really, it does. And these are the lock and lock containers. My wife loves these things, so we have a plethora. And once you snap that puppy shut, it's watertight. I can tell you right now, ain't nothing getting in it. Nothing is going to get in it. And there you go. Just that simple. And like I said, there's a few things I'm going to take out, a few things I'm going to add. Obviously, like I said, my ponchos aren't in there on display. Neither is my canteen. So you can figure all that, and it all fits very comfortably in the pack. You tie that on the bottom with the 2 straps that are hanging there, and everything else fits inside wonderfully. And Lord forbid, you pray you never need it. But if you got it, if you have it and you don't need it, great. But if you need it and you don't have it, you're up a creek with no paddle. And the other thing, 2 things, well, they both have to do with lighting, because invariably you may be in a dark place, you may be nighttime, you may be, I don't know, stuck in a subway. I don't know. But at any rate, I always recommend a headlamp with replaceable batteries. Yes, it's nice to have the ones you can recharge, but there may come a time or a situation where you can't access electricity to recharge it from the grid. So something with replaceable batteries, you can hit up a dollar store and grabs the hearing aid batteries that they take and call it good. And the other thing, the other light source, obviously, that you have one on your phone. And I would also recommend, I carried one in the Army, the old L flashlights with multicolored lenses. because that red light at nighttime it really, it makes a difference. I mean, and again, you want some redundancy. And you can take the lens out. You can put the clear lens in, the yellow, the blue, the whatever strikes your fancy. But I usually carry mine with the red lens. And with those last two things, our kit is put together. And this is